faith has healed you. In Mark 10:52, he says, your faith has healed you. In Luke 17:19, he says, rise and go, your faith has made you well. In Matthew 8:10 through 13, he's talking to the Roman centurion, and he says in verse 10, I have not found such great faith, not even in Israel. In verse 13, he says, go your way, and as you have believed, so let it be done for you. And his servant was healed that same hour. Now, if we define faith, the dictionary says complete trust or confidence in something, someone, or something. Synonyms are acceptance, belief, confidence, conviction, loyalty, truth, assurance, dependence, reliance, stock, store, and sureness. I really like the one that says stock. I have stock in a healing. I have invested in it, so it's already there. It's multiplying. The opposite is disbelief, disloyalty, dishonesty, distrust, doubt, treachery, uncertainty, denial, rejection, skepticism, suspicion, unbelief. The opposite of having faith in healing is deny that healing. How can God heal you if you are denying it? The very act of denying healing is denying part of who God is. It is my desire that you will come away from today knowing that the will of God is that you may live and be healed. In order to do that, I first have to remove all doubt from this room. In Mark 5:39 through 40, this is where Jesus is going to raise a dead girl from being dead, of course. So when he came in, he said to them, why make this commotion and weep? The child is not dead, but sleeping. And they ridiculed him. But when he put them all outside, he took the father and the mother of the child and those who were with him and entered where the child was lying. From that point on, he raised the child from the dead. But the first thing he had to do was get everybody out of the room, because those who denied him wouldn't allow him to raise him from the dead. So he brought those that had faith in him. That way he could heal her, and she was healed. So let's remove the doubt and get to healing. In the beginning, God's purpose was for your body to be perfect. In Genesis 2:7, it says, and the Lord formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became living being. Now let's break this verse apart. So the first part, and the Lord God formed man. He didn't speak us into existence like everything else. We are handcrafted. Of the dust is the next part. Dust being the key word. I remember when I was a kid, I used to picture God in a sandbox building man out of sand. And what he would do was, put him together and breathe into him. But this image is wrong because the verse doesn't say sand. It says dust. Now, I always thought dust was a smaller particle of sand. But in my studies, dust is not that. Dust is actually any material in the form of tiny particles. It can come from stone, but it can come from off of bodies. It can come off of plants. It can really come from anywhere as long as the particle is small enough. Now, did you know that there are 37 trillion cells in the human body? The average particle of dust weighs about 1 to 10 nanograms. That's really, really small. So there's 370,000 in a pound. So the average person would be made up of between 10 to 70 trillion particles of dust, given the weight of the person. So the next part of the part is of the ground. Now the Hebrew word I'm not even going to attempt, but the meaning of it is ground or land. Now, because of the way I understood the verse, ground was very important because I thought it was dirt, right? But land opens it up because land and ground are the same thing, but he's talking about everything. He's not just talking about I took him from the soil. So, in the human body, there are 11 elements: oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, calcium, phosphorus, potassium, sulfur, sodium, chlorine, and magnesium. and over 200 different types of cells. Dirt is made up of entirely of silica. Very other trace elements are found, but the entire thing is silica, which is not found in the body at all. So it kind of takes it back away. We weren't made from dirt. And then the last part, and breathed into his nostril the breath of life, and man became a living being. After God found all the dust particles needed with the materials needed to support life, he molded us into the image his image, as we already had nostrils. So here's God placing us. He went and found every molecule needed from the dust particles, and he placed them in a specific order, because we already had nostrils, which meant he formed us completely. We weren't incomplete. The only thing we didn't have was life. So after that, he completed the process by breathing life into Adam. We are made of 37 trillion cells which function as a whole, or whose function as a whole is to stay in life. We start to die when cells no longer function as one. Disease and illness set in as the body starts to attack itself. Cancer is cells that no longer function and reproduce. How is it that billions of people on this planet can't agree on one thing, one word combined, but 37 trillion cells, around the same amount of dust particles, can all fight for God's original purpose to keep us as living beings? Is it his purpose, or it is his purpose that we may live? In Mark 1:40-41, it says, "Now a leopard came to him, imploring him, kneeling down to him and saying, 'If you are willing, can you make me clean?' Then Jesus, moved with compassion, stretched out his hand and touched him and said to him," and this is important, "I am willing, be cleansed." Jesus states, "I am willing." In John 5:19, then Jesus answered them, saying, "Most assuredly, I say to you, the Son can do nothing of himself, but what he sees the Father do. For whatever he does, the Son also does in like manner." John 12:49, "For I have not spoken on my own authority, but the Father who sent me gave me a command, what I should say and what I should speak." By Jesus saying that he is willing, he is saying that God's will is for us to be healed. God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. If in the beginning God created us to live, and he sent his Son that we may live, then we need to stop denying the life God has given us. So today, as you come up and tell us what you have, or tell us what you have faith, God will heal. And don't deny God as your creator and life.
Amen. Amen.